Welcome to Reddit Jedi. What conspiracy theory do you completely believe is true? The government constantly reposts this question to see what we know. No, we don't do that at all. I mean they. A lot of entertainment companies are money laundering fronts. Don't even get me started on Entertainment 720. Prestige Worldwide 2. A Huff and Doback production. Boats and Hoes. Favorite non-pornographic magazine to jerk off to. Good Housekeeping. Someone said that of paintings sold for millions and I thought, oh god yeah, why didn't I think that before? It's not just paintings, but antiques, wine, jewelry, rare, musical instruments, charities and, you get the idea. And horses. You would be amazed how race horses and show horses are used to move money or avoid taxes. A lot of people are asking how this is done and, from what I've seen, it works on the arbitrary price model of high-dollar horses. Some people will buy high and sell low under a common umbrella as their other businesses to report less taxable profit. Usually these transactions are fast. Buy a high-end show horse, own it for a month, sell it for half of purchase price. If anyone asks, you can report behavioral issues or other reasons to sell low. There are a lot of other odd transactions that happen. Google Caroline Rothman, she has been involved in some interesting cases. Epstein didn't kill himself. Those who think Epstein is still alive, that still means he did not kill himself. I read this as, Einstein didn't kill himself, and thought, wait, people think Einstein died of suicide. The Department of Transportation bought way too many orange barrels, so most of them have to be stored on highways. You deserve an upvote. I literally travel past miles of barrels on a daily basis and rarely see anyone working. I saw a really informative response about this the other day. I wish I could even remember what sub it was in. But the part that stuck with me was they said they'll put the barrels out once to avoid moving them on and off the road repeatedly, and that in the early phases of construction a lot of the work is surveying etc. and then waiting for approvals or whatever. So somebody is out there for an hour or two infrequently during a week or month, but the time and cost labor to move the barrels back and forth doesn't make it worth it for brief trips. Maybe not Tupac. But at least one celebrity has faked their death and is still out there. If it's anyone, it's Andy Kaufman. Kaufman sure seems like the most likely to do such a thing. This is a bit spooky when you think about it. On the other hand, Kaufman's siblings would have to be in on it. They've all made statements that they watched him deteriorate from cancer in a way that can't be faked and attended his open casket funeral. My personal opinion, Kaufman was believed to have died in 1984. He was such a troll, it's doubtful he could have kept his mouth shut and stayed hidden until 1985, let alone past 1999 when Man in the Moon came out in theaters. He faked faking his own death. This is the more Kaufman-esque prank, emo. Anyone can fake their death. But the true novel prank is to learn that you are actually dying, then tell a bunch of people you're planning to fake your death, and leave generations of people scratching their head while you're laughing it up from beyond the grave. Elvis Lives. He just went home. I like the version from Bubba Hotep best. He paid an Elvis impersonator to take his place for a while, just to get a break. Then the impersonator died suddenly of a heart attack and real Elvis was stuck living the impersonator's life. Disney absolutely believed that Hillary Clinton was going to win the 2016 election, so they started building her animatronic for the Hall of Presidents well in advance, and after Trump pulled off a victory, instead of starting from scratch they just kinda made a couple half-assed adjustments to the Hillary model and put it up on stage. Thanks for all the awards. I know I'm not the first person to ever notice this or even the first to post about it on Reddit, but I'm glad I was able to introduce it to so many people. I read this and immediately didn't believe it. Then I saw the picture. We get it. This comment sounds vaguely like a Smash Mouth song. Please stop retelling the same unfunny joke. Either this theory is 100% true or Disney, the undisputed pioneers in everything theme park related, suddenly became the worst engineers in the world for exactly as long as it took to build this animatronic. Not a specific theory, but I have no doubt that the majority of leaks for the entertainment industry, video games, movies, TV, etc. are completely purposeful and meant to gauge general opinions before official announcements. Spelling. Thanks for my first ever awards. They're called trial balloons, and they absolutely exist. They exist in politics. They exist in products. They exist in every industry with any amount of money. This is one of those that just makes so much sense, yet somehow it's never occurred to me until now. The Big Mac has gotten smaller so McDonald's saves some money. I dunno, but I swear the Big Mac used to be bigger. Or maybe I am just fatter. This is a pretty common business tactic, and there's been a hell of a lot of research into it. Companies know consumers are happier paying the same amount for a, often unnoticeable, reduced portion rather than seeing a price increase for the same item. College Board isn't non-profit. Every high school student just sighed in understanding. The CIA is responsible for the crack epidemic. That one's partially true. One single thing can't be entirely responsible, but the CIA was involved. The question is whether it was knowingly or unknowingly. And it's far from the only drug trafficking the CIA took part in. That the CIA let JFK get assassinated. A time traveler has traveled back in time to the year 1963. However, he does not know the exact date. He sees a CIA agent nearby and asks him, "Is today before or after the JF? Before, this is the smallest conspiracy ever, but, you know how when you pull a tissue out of a box, there's this dust that comes out from the tissue when it scrapes the perforated edge? I swear it's designed like that so that the dust makes you sneeze. And then suddenly you need more tissues. Rise up against big tissue." Finally someone said something about this. There's too much dust in general on tissues, it all gets fucking stuck in my nose and I'm back where I started. Switch to napkins bro. J. Edgar Hoover had ties to the mob and gave preferential treatment to certain crime families, organizations while crushing others. Also, his stranglehold on American intelligence made him a figure presidents feared. My understanding was that, specifically, the mob had photos of him and his boyfriend doing, you know, boyfriend stuff. Which is a pretty intense threat when you're the "no queers or commies" guy. They had a habit of staying at a mob-owned hotel together. Awful compromising position to put yourself in if you're the surveillance czar, and a hell of a coincidence at that. Not to mention that his best friend, Clyde Tolson, was Hoover's beneficiary in his will, moved into Hoover's house after he died, and is buried in the same row at the Congressional Cemetery in Washington, D.C. He retired from the FBI 3 days after Hoover died and accepted the flag at his funeral. They vacationed together, took all their meals together, socialized together. I don't know that the mob had anything on him, but if Hoover and Tolson weren't lovers, then it must have been one hell of a relationship. It sounds crazy, but I'm getting a sneaking suspicion that the Earth just might be spherical after all. Fools. All of you fools. It's a donut. Ancestry DNA and the rest of those ancestry websites are run by the government to have access to people's DNA to cross-reference crimes etc. That's not a conspiracy theory, it's in the fine print when you use their services. That's how they caught the Golden State Killer. And not from him directly, from one of his kids. I believe in the HBO doc about it they say it was a third cousin or someone fairly distant. Correct. Fourth cousin, so I'll give you that one, mate. I got a pretty harmless one. Stevie Wonder can see. The world's elites are in on it, which almost got blown open when George W. Bush waved at him. Edit. Big thanks to all my Stevie Wonder truthers out there. Thank you all for this interesting dialogue. Didn't Shaq say he ran into him in an elevator once and Stevie Wonder said, "Hey, Shaq," before Shaq said anything? That's crazy. The odds of him just guessing it was him must be like finding a needle in a haystack. I like to imagine that Stevie Wonder says, "Hey Shaq," to anyone that comes in an elevator knowing one day he'll get it right. I've heard that story too. I think it was Anthony Anderson that said he's not blind and he said on a late night show, invite him and put something on the ground for him to trip on and the motherfucker will step over it. I know I'm butchering it but it's funny and interesting. I can't remember what it's called, but that's a real type of blindness. Basically, the eyes are mostly normal and work just fine, but the connection between the brain and the eyes is broken. The subconscious will know there's something there, but the person will never actually see it. I've seen Stevie Wonder take his glasses off before, and his eyes do not appear normal to me, so I don't think this is that type of blindness.